Scaling a business isn't all glossy headlines and overnight success. It's messy, it's tough, and it's full of lessons that no one warned you about. I'm Nikki Jupp, the founder of Talent Gateway, and I've helped over 100 scale-up leaders to build the right team to enable them to grow with confidence. This is Scaling Stories Unfiltered, where founders, CEOs, and leaders share what really happens behind the scenes. No fluff, no filler, just honest conversations to help you grow smarter. So let's get into it.
Just exit when you feel it's the right time. It's like a relationship. Don't wait until it's really bad. And I think that's what I realized with Morning Gloryville. It's actually not that I didn't know I needed to exit and etc. I think I actually, in hindsight, held on too long.
Today I'm joined by Sam Moyo, the creative force behind Morning Gloryville, the sober-rave movement that spread across 23 cities and inspired a whole new way of bringing people together. We'll be diving into her story from growing up in Zimbabwe surrounded by community spirit to building a global phenomenon that proved joy and belonging can be a business. Sam shares her journey with honesty, humour and heart, and I can't wait for you to hear it.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and hello to any listeners out there. This is my voice to just get used to. But yeah, bring on the questions. I've been looking forward to this.
Superb. So let's start with your story. Tell us about your early life. What were those experiences that shaped you, that first started your passion or sparked your passion for bringing people together?
Yeah, I feel like growing up in Zimbabwe, there was just always a gathering. Like nearly every Sunday, I remember there was some sort of barbecue or going to church or or a funeral or a birthing celebration. I just felt like community. Oh, and also it was the 90s. Remember when we played outside, when it was safe and you spent a lot of times like with chalk, drawing your games on the tarmac and like playing ball and being totally fearless. Like I feel like community was in the streets. You knew all your neighbors. You knew everyone who lived on, at least I did. I knew everyone who lived on our street. So yeah, some of the experiences that shaped this was really spending time with my grandparents, who I spent a lot of time with old people, and older people just tend to converge with all their friends, or at least my family does. So there was just like, my grandmother was part of something called the Helping Hand, and that's probably the most formative part of me. And now the Helping Hand, no one would have heard of it here, but the Helping Hand was this group of older ladies who were like retired, lived many lives, and they formed this group where they just committed themselves to be like the community mamas. So if you had it's incredible. If you had can you hear me properly? Yeah. Okay, good. If you had a wedding and you needed some help with food, they would like rock up with all their pots. They even had all the pots and pans, and they would go and collect the money from the rest of the community and make sure you had the wedding food you wanted. So
how beautiful to have that.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting growing up like that. And another example is I do remember when we had family challenges, we'd have to all meet and sit and talk about it all. And I remember at the time that feeling really uncomfortable, like why do we have to have a family meeting about your divorce, or why do we have to have a family meeting about something that doesn't involve me directly? Why do we all have to sit through this? And now I look back and I'm just like, oh my goodness, those Ubuntu principles essentially, which I think is what it is. I am because we are of really including everyone and being as much there for people as if they were your own, was something that was, it's just been in my blood. Yeah.
So So clearly community, support, love, all those things were with you and clearly have stayed with you. Where did the idea of Morning Gloryville really begin?
Okay, yeah. Morning Gloryville, it feels like it was something that I was actually manifesting for a really long time. And the reason I like to say that is because it feels important for other entrepreneurs and people with ideas to know that actually I think what turned it into the movement was the brewing.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was a party girl, used to put on these crazy pirate radio boat parties. They were amazing, paying homage to the old days of pirate radio. The after parties went on for days and it was really unsustainable. Anyway, yeah, so I do remember for a long time writing in my diary after, just in those come downs, just please, dear angels, whatever's out there, please help me stop. I really want to stop drinking. I want to stop taking these drugs. I don't know how. I just tried everything and nothing was quite captivating me. And then finally a friend of mine, Nico, who actually was my co-founder, was like, Sam, let's start a morning rave. And then I was like, yeah. And then we were like, in his fast forward, he was like, I've been thinking about conscious clubbing. I was like, yeah, me too. Anyway, fast forward, we were in his boat and I'll always remember it. We were in Shalom in his boat on this mooring. And I remember us then coming up with the concept, coming up with the elements that would make the experience special.
Yeah.
And coming up with the name Morning Glory, which is how it started, and the tag name Rave Your Way Into the Day. It was very much, it really did feel, Nico was from Bristol, I was from Zim. It really felt an easeful coming together of energies. Right. Someone with a dance background, someone with a rave background, an immersive community. So I feel like, like our energies just created the most magical concept somehow.
Yeah. And when you set out on this journey, clearly it was just an idea. How did you get it started? And did you, at that time, often when people read business books, they say, start with the end in mind. If you're going to want to build something to sell, you need to know that from the start. Take us a little bit on that journey with you. And did you start out believing or wanting this to be something that was global or something that was more local?
This was always something, the first thing is about the first thing. It's always about creating an experience that truly moves people from the moment they come in to the moment they leave. It really is always about that one thing. Yeah. So with that first event, it was more about, okay, how are we welcoming people when they come in? Let's do it different to all the clubs. Let's put some huggers. Let's put people cheering people on for making it at 6 a.m. Let's remove all the signage of alcohol in the club. Let's have a juice bar instead. Let's democratize our stage. Yes, let's have the DJ there, but let's have loads of people dancing around. So it was very much experience driven. Oh, and Nico was very much about flowers. Let's make sure there's some flowers there. Let's make sure there's some incense sticks there. And we were both like, oh my, let's make sure we've got the best coffee. So we had a coffee cart. So it was really about the experience and creating a clubbing experience that was different at the time to anything that we'd experienced and that existed. And so the focus was on that one product, I guess, that one experience. We knew we wanted to do more, and I remember us speaking to Village Underground and saying, can we try 3? Because I'd learnt from before that you have to try something 3 times in order to know whether it works or not when it comes to events.
That's an interesting insight.
Yes, yeah, because 3 is the magic number. So the first one, and luckily, imagine if we'd quit. The first one was in Village Underground. You know this from the book, and only 26 people bought tickets and showed up. And honestly, one could say that was an epic fail. And remember, at the time, I'm like living on a boat. We don't have like extra cash and things, so we totally lost money. I think we had to borrow money to break even, kind of thing. But everyone who came that morning, the 26 ticket buyers and the 60 other people we'd probably forced to come, or to make it look busy basically. Yeah, it was probably like 100 in total. A lot of people who were begged, basically, if not bought, bribed. But yeah, each of those people had such an incredible experience where they all thought, oh my God, this is really unique. We've never experienced this. The joy was palpable. The sense of awakening was palpable. And those people must have had such an incredible experience from at each touch point or each junction, that they must have told 20 people each.
Yes.
Because, they must have told like so many people each, because the next one we had 400 ticket buyers.
Wow.
And then the BBC came, and then after that it just grew. But I can't say that from the start we wanted it to be the big thing it became.
Yeah.
At the start it was about creating something that didn't exist and making it as beautiful as possible for the people who were coming, basically.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
And at what point during that, I guess, that roller coaster maybe, did you realise Morning Gloryville, or was it still Morning Glory then?
Yeah, so it was Morning Glory for quite a few of the events, and then we discovered some media company, Bauer Media or someone, owned the trademark. So and they wrote to us and were like, what should we do? And I remember us having this conversation and us being like, what if we just add a Ville? And then it was Morning Gloryville, basically, and then that worked out. Yeah, so it was quite straightforward. But yeah, so it was Morning Gloryville, and yeah, there was a point where it felt like it was bigger than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was really after that first event, it already started. If you were in the room on that first day, imagine it's 2013, it's May 2013, you're going to go to work that day. This is your first time waking up. You've woken up at 5 in the morning and you've ended up in one of the top clubs in Shoreditch.
Yeah. And
all your festival friends and everyone who lights you up and all of that is in this room. And what's removed is all the alcohol and everything, but you're all giving it beans because it's still your favorite music and your favorite people. And you're just like, oh my goodness, why have I not started the day like this before?
Yes.
So you could just feel in that room, we were all just, oh my goodness, why have we not done this before? And yeah, and our hearts were popping, and it was that sense of magic, that sense of awe. And so it was really that day that we knew we were onto something.
Yeah.
And everyone, just because you could see it, you could feel it. And because of that, I think that's what was driving us to like really keep going despite the sales, keep telling people, keep phoning the press. The number of press I was phoning being like, I have started a party, like just really. I remember phoning Mr Motivator after therapy one day at the tube station in Collier's Woods, being like, in Jamaica, all the way there, and just being like, hi, can I speak to Mr Motivator? and like trying to get him to come and support us, and him being like, okay, hi, his real name's Derek, did you know?
I didn't.
Yeah, and good old Derek being like, I'd really love to come, but I can't come for free, but I'll support you when I'm in England. And yeah, it was really beautiful, because then I think it was like something like a year later, we were then at Festival and then collaborated with him, and it worked out. But there was just this energy of anything's possible. Pick up the phone, call people.
And that in itself is interesting. For those people who are listening, were these already people that you were networked with, or did you just... How do you get Mr Motivator's phone number? And I use the word courage specifically, it's quite courageous to just phone people, to phone the media. Is that just something that's in you, or...?
I think it is something that's in me, because I didn't realise it. Again, it might be to do with the way I'm wired. And you read the Pope story as well. I'm a person who, if I have an idea or a calling, I don't really see myself as unable to access a person. So I remember then with Morning Gloryville, if I wanted someone, or if I thought I wanted someone, I would literally be like, who knows this person?
Yes.
Who's gone to school with this person? Whose friends are friends with this person? And I still do it now. And it's interesting, because sometimes people say to me, like, who do you think you are? And I think that's such an interesting statement, because I think my name is Sam, and I'm like, and I think your name is whatever your name is. And I guess I don't have that in my brain, whatever.
I have to say it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because we're all human beings. And I think by the sounds of it, you've got it naturally. People, I'm sure people listening will have their own view on this clearly, but my view is people are scared. Oh, I'm going to get a knockback. I think that statement is interesting. Who do you think you are? And I think if we could approach it from a sense of I'm the same as they are.
Yes, I think, and that's it. And I think whoever they are, whenever I have contacted anyone, a lot of the time, if your hearts resonate and believe in the same things, it's usually a yes. I think at the heart, no matter how successful anyone is, and I'm the same, no matter how successful anyone is, I think when you believe in something or someone, you want to support it.
Yeah, as much as you can. Yeah,
as much as you can. Yeah.
So how it obviously became a global phenomenon. So how did it go from those three parties? Clearly, like you say, you knew straight away, this is something. Take us on that journey. Where was next? How did it grow? Because for something to be global, that's very different than growing something in the UK.
Okay, so the first thing we did was really focus on that concept and people's experience. I think I've always been so strict in everything I've done that I always want everyone who comes into a space that I'm either curating or designing or whatever to feel amazing, to feel included, to feel loved, to feel empowered. I have a checklist: empower, inspire, entertain, and I think there's something like make them laugh or something. If it has to tick those boxes. So that's the really first thing. And then I think after people have enjoyed it and experienced it, then you know you have something. Then you can start talking about it. And so with Morning Gloryville, it was like, oh my God, this is a thing. Look at how much these people love it. I'm going to start phoning and telling everyone. And literally, that's all I did. And that's all we did. Yeah, Nico was doing it. I was doing it. We were just like whoever we knew, or we would just like help, get involved. And I think it's that sort of energy that creates momentum. And that excitement about what you're doing, that excitement about bringing people together. that excitement about what our mission is. We sat down, we were like, what is the mission here? What's the vision? And I remember us writing down like our bullet points of what we wanted to do, like what we wanted to shift in each individual, in society, in the local community, and really being clear about that. And it did really also have a very simple mission of we want to spread joy. And I still have that mission today. And I think that's, when you have a very simple, this is the vibe, it becomes infectious.
And when you love it, it emanates out of you, doesn't it?
Totally.
Going back to Morning Gloryville and the early days, at what point did you realise that Morning Gloryville was becoming pretty much a global phenomenon? Were there any sort of pinch me moments along the way as it was growing?
I always remember our first birthday and Basement Jaxx playing, and also getting an amazing brand partnership as well. And I remember those two things signaling success. The first one, because I'd been such a Basement Jaxx fan, like in all my raving days. So seeing them on the stage felt like an arrival.
Yeah.
And you can imagine all the DJs that had said no before. So seeing someone like an act that you just really respect at your party was just like full heart experience. And then also the reason I mentioned the brand partnership, because it was the first time a bigger company realized that we needed some guidance and support and help, and they weren't trying to own or run or plaster or take. And I remember that feeling really good, because we weren't a company that had raised lots of money, and we really did need as much support. And at that time, the combination of all of these things, and obviously the press, just was like, the universe is really supporting this. Yeah, and the team as well. I remember just feeling in real flow and very proud of the team, the all-female team.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, it's just wonderful, really. Yeah.
So you've got this success, it's taking off, and you're going global, whether 23 cities. Were there any principles, because you've talked there about your team and just that feeling of it felt wonderful. Were there any principles that helped you to keep the community real and connected, given, I guess, how diverse and how broadly spread you were, even just geographically?
Yeah, I'm just going into my Google Drive right now, because we wrote a glory agent guide and a code of conduct. And this glory guide really was, and I still hear it in me, because it also has felt like a lifelong journey, basically. So it's little things here. So who we are, a glory agent. So that's anyone who is working on or running a Morning Gloryville. A glory agent has a vision for greatness for themselves and for humanity. They have an entrepreneurial and open mind and heart. We have Einstein's approach to problem solving. This means we challenge our own personal beliefs as well as societal beliefs, knowing that it's through those challenges and shifts that ourselves and society will evolve. We keep thinking beyond ourselves and the boxes that we're in. A glory agent welcomes people, like all people of all ages from all walks of life. We're not anti-ists and try to accept everything. So we really try and lean into being really focusing on being pro people, regardless of all the things on top. And it's interesting reading this and thinking of what I'm doing now with Chapel of Love. And I was just yesterday writing the principles there. And actually, no matter what I do, at the core of it is this principle of believing in the human spirit. We can go to all kinds of darkness, all of us, but I feel that my job on this planet is to really just hold the light in people,
Yeah.
and even when it's people who piss me off. So I'll always lean in, so to speak.
Yeah. But that thread, I think, of not only having values, I know things like when we talk about business or community and culture, I mean, from, I guess, more from an organizational perspective and values, but it's absolutely crystal clear, even the way you talk about it there, it really is at the core of you. And when I talk to founders who really do spend time to, using your words, lean into the values and I guess the essence, the core of what the people who join the business need to believe in, they are far more successful, whatever that successful measurement is. In most cases, it's financial as the primary, but etc., etc. So it's really interesting to hear that. So it was almost having that Bible.
Yeah, because it's very nuanced being in this world, especially. It's actually quite a nuanced and its own subculture. Being people who decide that whatever's happening, whoever's been elected, whatever's going on politically, you're gonna wake up and put on a party and get people dancing and get everyone out of their minds and not talking or debating. It's a very, it's its own, it is like a niche. Yeah, I guess you would need people who are super passionate about it, because then we'd be pulled in all directions.
Yeah. So that's clear in terms of the story, how you kept people together. So when we think about growth, often in sort of the scale-up world, often we talk about external investment or whether you bootstrap and you go for organic growth. Was it always, from your perspective, a grassroots growth strategy, or did you ever consider external funding, institutional funding?
Yeah, so it was always grassroots, but we did have an injection of 40,000 from some friendly investors. And for us then, that was a load of money, not enough in hindsight with the scale at which we grew. But that was the only investment we took. Years later, I realized why we didn't get any other investment. And it's because I was masking and unable to do any forms, really. So we never applied for any funding and grants and things, mainly because I just found it all so tedious. And that's been an interesting thing to realize now, second time round, building something and being like, okay, I actually need to hire people whose job it is to get funding, because this is our type of work.
It's a really challenging decision. In some ways, you can't grow, some businesses can't grow as quickly as people want without the investment. But what comes with that investment is you're giving away part of your business for all intents and purposes, which then means you've got more voice at the table, which then can mean that you don't get to do all the things that you want to do your way.
Yes. So interestingly, that was actually something that happened. So for this 40,000, I gave away like 38% of the business.
Yeah.
And that was actually too much. I didn't realize then. And what that led to was this scenario where, when we had done our first spurt of growth into 12 cities, we then did need to raise money, really, but that would have taken me under, and my investors really did want to take it in a different direction. In hindsight, I think if you find the right investors and you get a substantial amount of money and you think you can work together long term, I think it's fine, but I don't think we'd established a strong enough connection. Yeah. And that was hard. That was a very hard decision to make.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So sticking with, we talked about values really and the beating heart of the community. You talk about creating a regenerative culture. That's often a theme that I've picked up. For those who aren't familiar with what that means, tell us a little bit about it and what it means in practice.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting one because I think when you're a leader or anyone and you have to talk about these things, you suddenly realize and remember all the ways you haven't been regenerative. I'm just going to own that and apologize to the universe in advance. But I guess for me, having a regenerative culture or creating a regenerative culture at work is an environment where we are ensuring that our output is positive for everyone around us, and the planet is a really big one, and also giving back to ourselves. And it took me a really long time actually to realize the importance of creating environments that are nurturing, yes, for the community and the team and nature, but also for ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's now in this next line of work with Chapel of Love and going into companies and marrying people, teams to themselves. I believe that, yeah, like the most regenerative environments are really encouraging everyone, yes, to give to the mission of the company, and hopefully the mission and the company also are giving to the planet in a positive way. And then somehow within all of that, everyone's remembering to put themselves first.
Yes.
Which is a very taboo thing, I think. Yeah. But in a way that means that in loving themselves, they're actually caretaking everything else around them with greater ease. So
I find that fascinating. Yeah. And I think it is a subject that hasn't been investigated enough. In principle, I think we buy into it, but in reality, I certainly think there's more of that needs to happen and be far more understood.
And encourage from the top, because I think that's what I had. I have goosebumps, and if it sounds like I'm plugging, it's not. It's more that I was so moved that a company director contacted me and said, I really just want to thank my team, and we really just want them to feel special, and we want to give them something that isn't just getting them pissed. We want this to be about them and their well-being, like at their core. And yeah, and then designing a wedding ceremony for this company and their team, and getting them to set vows for themselves and witness each other setting vows for themselves, not for how they're going to do their job, and then being supported within the team for that. It was just so beautiful. And then they've gone on, I've seen some of their work. I always spy on people after, seen some of their, and I've gone on and I can see they've created some beautiful work. It feels very good.
So interesting and so different.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to follow and see where that leads you. I think we'll see more of that kind of activity. And because at the moment it's very much there's fear, there's people, everyone's talking about AI, it's all about technology. Oh, and humans, what's going to happen to humans? There's fear that people's jobs aren't going to be around. Yes, there's the reality, and I'm sure that the landing will be somewhere in between the extremes that we hear. But that sort of taking care of oneself and the business showing that it wants to go the extra mile to enable you to take care of yourself, because from a selfish point of view, the business will be far more successful.
100%, 100%. So I've made the decision that I'm really happy living an AI-free life. That's not to say I might not have a company where some of my team use it, but I'm gonna encourage. I think I want to encourage people not to go to it for everything, because it's how we've forgotten our grandma's number in off by heart and have to go to our mobile phones. It's how we have to look at GPS to go everywhere when we didn't need to do that for hundreds of years. I don't know, I'm holding these two things, and it's not even holding, I'm preparing to put the conversation forward into the world around, even in companies, having some people whose job is to be human intuition and to bring that perspective when AI and everything has run all the things. I think it's almost like having the voice of the elders or wisdom keepers. Yeah, I've always 100% thought that role is needed in a company.
And your perspective is really interesting and unique in lots of ways. And I mean that in a very, very positive way. Reflecting based on your own experiences, on what you've observed, and what do you think holds most leaders back from being even more successful, whatever successful it is for them?
Goodness gracious. Speaking to myself, and I think others might relate, what holds me back, and I had it this morning when I was like, oh shit, I do need to raise money. I do need to afford. Oh no, I do need to go have a company again. And then I noticed the tightening up, the fear, everything. And it literally is that the images of past rejections, things that have gone wrong, the fear of failure, and the fear of the unknown, really. That's for me what's been coming through. And also, like, when you've been like when you've done lots of experiments, I've already had my thing, I've already had a big thing. A part of me does want to retire.
Yeah.
There is also, I'm less ambitious because I'm happier internally in some ways. So there is this part that kind of wants to do the Forrest Gump, let's go mow the lawn thing. So I think it's multiple things. So less ambitious due to age and healing, really. And then, fear of the past and rejection and the noise and the managing a team and will all my time go into this again?
The question to you then is, looking back and thinking about all that you've said there, will you turn to any particular books or mentors?
I honestly think, I don't know about books, that I've got lots of mentors, but I really think the biggest thing for me and the realization, and I didn't realize it 10 years ago, I was young, I was cocky, I didn't want to listen to people. One thing I have now, which is like, I feel so grateful that these pennies have dropped, is I'm already like, before going into building the community, which I'll do initially first, I'm actually wanting to do the board first, and then the team and resource. And someone was like, oh, why don't you just get an assistant? And I was like, no, I want someone who is more intelligent than me, who knows about that area, because I do not want to be their boss. So like, I don't need to be telling them what to do. I want us to meet each other. And that's the shift that's happened. It's the appreciation of expertise, and like just an acceptance of what I'm really not good at. Like I said, the forms, the attention to detail, communications with loads of people when I have to focus on being on a stage or doing a ceremony or healing. So there's just been this acceptance that even if I am the director, I'm not the only voice and person guiding the thing. And that feels, it feels liberating, but B, is giving me actually more confidence despite the challenges I've faced in the past in moving forward.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
And so that's very reflective, that answer, and thank you for being very open and transparent, unsurprisingly. You talked about Morning Gloryville and the exit being messy. What lessons have you taken away from that experience?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, and I have it with another project I worked on recently, is always exit when you feel is the right time. It's like a relationship. Don't wait until it's really bad. And I think that's what I realized with Morning Gloryville. It's actually not that I didn't know it was I needed to exit and etc. I think I actually, in hindsight, held on too long.
Yeah.
And and also working whilst burnt out and making those decisions when you're burnt out is just not the way forward. I think I could have just said I need a break for a year. I think sometimes we just want to get out so badly that we might make some bad decisions. So if it's possible for anyone else, I would say pause.
And I think that connects to my next question. How was your neurodiversity shaped, do you think, your leadership style?
Oh my God. Do you know, I wish I knew. I wish it was even a conversation back then. In one respect, it's great. Like even now when I speak to my mom and I am like, Mom, I am different. I am different. I've always been different. She's just, you know, Sam, you're just really special. Never mind the rest of the world. So I've been brought up, even in Zimbabwe, walking around with like socks in my pants and wanting to be a tomboy, where it's actually quite conservative and totally, I've always just been weird. But the people around me have just encouraged me to be more me. So then fast forward to being in my 20s, running a business, and I didn't realize things I was doing was a bit weird, like insisting on really long feeling exercises with our team. I can feel too much. Something that might happen in a business context that is painful will be more painful for me. Therefore, the way I react might be bigger than how people might expect. And I think that's probably, I didn't realize, like I love so hard and big and everything. And sometimes something would happen and I would explode and I really wouldn't understand how I've gone from one state to another state, and it really has taken me such, and I'll get really embarrassed or ashamed or whatever, and it's taken me a really long time to realize that it's the extremity at which I feel as a person with autism means that sometimes that does happen. And what's frustrating now is it does happen, but I've now seen when it's more likely to happen. So the awareness has been really great. So anyway, finally, I met this accountant who works with neurodiverse people. And then suddenly it's just everything's so much easier because they just know what you need. And also it's not, you don't feel like you've been going mad around circles and everything. But it took a long time because I'd go to someone to be like, yeah, why don't you just do this? And then they'd be surprised that I didn't just do that. And I'm again, it's the biggest lesson, getting the people around. Whereas before I didn't know, I didn't have the language, I didn't have the knowing, the world wasn't even accepting of the things. Therefore, the right structures and systems weren't in place. And now it's exciting because I can even have a social worker whose job it is to fill out forms for me. And that's wonderful. I didn't even, it's so good.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And again, that leads beautifully into, you've touched on burnout. You've explained about stepping away from the business. What do you think helped you recover and find balance again after Morning Gloryville?
Yeah, just traveling. Going to Bali was amazing, and just like spending 6 months in a completely different part of the world. Yeah, doing things to just rewire my neuro pathways from the PTSD of exit, of often unglamorous exit. Yeah, lots of dancing, lots of what's it called, Kundalini yoga, lots of just putting myself in new environments. And actually at first I felt like ousted or whatever, but actually it was really good in hindsight now to go to other communities and immerse myself in other communities, because that's informed who I am now as well as that. Yeah.
It's quite interesting. What do you think the difference is between building a community and a business?
Yeah, neediness, levels of neediness, where we are, where our attachment styles are as leaders.
Yeah.
But I guess building Morning Gloryville was very much about creating, it was about creating a community and a movement and a message. And it was like an act of resistance in a weird way, an act of liberation, of resistance, reclaiming of power. It was very embodied. It was very much about building a community. The business money side was something we needed, but there wasn't like I don't remember having this intention of building to exit, building to make X amount ARR. I didn't really, it just wasn't even in the conversations. It was about making it, helping the thing get by and have enough, and all of us have enough, but we were caught up in the fun of it. And it was like we were so caught up in the fun and the community and the joy of it.
But imagine if you could take that joy, even for those who are listening but can't see, the joy shows on your face. That light comes on that you clearly still feel. You feel it. And when people talk about, again, coming back to the business side, culture, creating belonging, everything that you're talking about there it came from within, and people want to build that movement, is that wanting to be part of the movement. I think if you could take that essence and sprinkle it into a lot of businesses where employees, those people feel so part of it, that they want it to succeed. I think that's where the magic is.
100 million%. I think that's what we had, and that's why there was so much love and outpourings from from the community. And it's interesting now building something and wanting to build the community part, but I do notice that I'm building what I'm building now more as a business. And but the reason I feel I can and it be guilt-free in terms of my street cred is because I feel like the community stuff is almost like the easy bit for me, and actually doing these like legal, setting up the company, writing the strategy, deciding what the team's going to look like, building the board. It's been interesting because I was just like, actually, the ideas will come after the different concepts, the different events. Like, that's going to happen. It's guaranteed. But let's get the business right. Let's make sure we have money in it for a year so that we can really get the best people and just work on building something super cool and robust. So that's been interesting. Yeah.
You have the right people at the table, you will come up with what? It might start with an idea. You get the right people, even if that idea changes, or the market changes, or your finances change, the things that are out of your control. If you get the right people around that table, pretty much anything is possible.
I love that.
But I do fundamentally believe it. I've seen it in practice time and time again. So moving on to asking you for some practical takeaways, really, given your experiences to those people that are listening. If there was somebody listening who's dreaming of building a movement, what's your number one piece of advice to them?
I think it is that which we touched on, which is really get strong on that mission and your values. I don't actually think there's anything more important than knowing what you stand for. And then with a movement, oddly, it's not about imagining a movement. It's about that first experience and making sure each of the tiny experiences or products are like completely engaging and captivating and transformative. I think I do that with every small thing I do. It's like I really see it as if I can get, okay, 20 people, 50 people, 200 people, 1,000 people, like just focus on the experience and nothing else, basically. Values, vision, really being grounded in that, and yeah, just making it the best experience.
Superb. Looking back, what's something you wish you'd have understood? I know we've talked a little bit about this, but that you wish you'd understood earlier about growing a movement sustainably, or maybe more relevant for you, it might be the business side.
I think for me it really would have been knowing that I needed 500,000, really. I think in hindsight I feel like that probably would have been super helpful. Just in terms of the hiring front. So I think that's number one. And then number two is that I think realizing the power of a team that know more than you rather than you knowing more than them. And that's suddenly so exciting. I think it's only a couple of times I've had people who are more intelligent than me about something. So I'm so excited that I've got this mindset.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'm just like, it almost feels like something's alleviating, and it also feels like a more feminine approach to running anything.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I wish we had time to dig deeper on that. Maybe that will be a future podcast, that whole female element to it. So for founders who are going through maybe a tough transition, because this is something you've got a wealth of experience, or an identity shift, what words of wisdom would you share with them?
Just relax. I know it's easier said than done, but relax, give your time, give yourself, if you can, financially, give yourself minimum 6 months, 1 year to just do fuck all. Just give yourself a gap year and travel and play, and don't try and solve and fix anything. Just rediscover yourself. And actually, that's whether you've had a great exit or a shit exit. I think there's something about endings and allowing things to close and allowing us to evolve.
You talk about a conscious business. What does that really mean to you?
I think a conscious business to me is one that has spiritual values and nature and earth-centered care at its core. So when I say spiritual values, I guess at the heart of all the different faiths is love, taking care of others, giving, kindness, awareness of when we fuck up, owning our mistakes. So that is a conscious business. It's not a perfect business, because I think some people then think that's what it means. It's not perfect. You still do things wrong. Shit blows up still. But it's more the way you move through things, the way you hold it, and the way you and the team and community hold each other, basically. Yeah.
And I guess my final question is, if you could give advice to your younger self, whether it's a myth that you'd like to bust about growing something from nothing, from the ground up, what would that piece of advice be?
I think it would be, it's okay to get it wrong. It's okay to get it wrong. It's okay to get it wrong 1,000 million times, basically. Self-compassion.
Yeah. And that beautifully comes full circle, the piece about self-compassion, coming back to the point that you were making earlier in the discussion about almost start with self. You were talking about the company that is helping their employees to put themselves first, then the business, etc., etc. So that's wonderful. So that draws our conversation to a close, and there is a wealth of insight, love, and transparency in our conversation. And I am absolutely sure that whatever it is that you do next is going to have a huge positive impact. And also that those people you choose to either watch or listen are going to gain a wealth of useful insight from our conversation. So a big thank you from me. Thank you so much. It's been wonderful being on your podcast, finally. And yeah, to having a listen. Everyone enjoy. Oh, thanks, Sam. Love it.
That's it for this episode of Scaling Stories Unfiltered, and if you got value from today's conversation, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. It helps us bring even more real stories your way. Got a scale-up challenge, a story to share, or want to recommend someone for me to interview? Drop it in the message below. Until the next time, keep scaling, keep learning, and remember, you're not alone on your scale-up journey.